Coming up on this week's show. We're in Finland to meet the huskies who've been saved by a unique worldwide adoption scheme.
We will start taking godmothers and godfathers for the dogs.
We get a taste of sustainable Scottish cooking in Glasgow.
It's just really important that I know that it is good and ethical and good for the environment.
And I find out the secret to a long and healthy life here in Sardinia.
Oh.
All this and you live a long life. It's a pretty good way of life, I think. Hello and welcome to the Travel Show, coming to you this week from the beautiful island of Sardinia. This place is known for its white sandy beaches, its fascinating ancient history, and it's also one of the best places in the world to live if you want to reach a grand old age. I'll be finding out why later on. But first, there's nothing like travelling across an Arctic landscape on a sledge, a snowmobile or on skis. When the pandemic hit and tourism dried up, these winter modes of transport were put on ice. But that wasn't an option for the sledge-pulling huskies. We visited Lapland to find out how our furry friends have made it through the long, dark night of the pandemic.
Iso Siete, just 150 kilometres south of the Arctic Circle on the border of Finnish Lapland. The scenery here is the stuff Christmas is made of. In my view, the only thing that would improve this Christmas card style landscape is a sled dashing through the snow. Move over Vixen, Blitzen and Rudolph. The Huskies are in town.
This is absolutely incredible, it really is.
We are visiting a husky farm, where recent heavy snowfalls have ushered in the start of the tourist season. This farm belongs to Jonna, aka the Husky Mama, who looks after 96 huskies.
I love to be in cold, and sometimes we can have minus 40 degrees here, and huskies love to be in cold temperatures too. And when the first time snow comes, it's like, woohoo, now we go. It's time to go again.
I think the huskies know what's coming. I think they know they're going for a ride. That sound.
Jonna's role is similar to that of a sports coach. She has to rotate her squad so her dogs don't get tired, know who plays well with who, and knows who performs best in certain positions.
Two in front are the clever ones, leading the pack, and into the middle we take the fast ones, and to the back the strong ones, the power dogs.
The tourists arrive and the sled rides begin, as the huskies take them off deep into a winter wonderland. But this new season was never a given.
Huskies are rough and tough to survive these harsh winters.
But no matter how rough or tough you are, no one was prepared for the global pandemic, which unfurled in early 2020. Finland, like most of the world, entered the long dark night of COVID-19, and tourists were unable to visit.
Tourism was hit hard, but where snowmobiles, skis and snowshoes can be put away until times improve, these huskies still needed to eat. Did you want me to grab some buckets for you?
Okay, please.
It's dinner time down on the farm, and whilst here, I thought I'd lend a helping hand.
Here we go, grabs up.
Yep.
She looks really appealing.
On the menu today is meat and fish, served with soaked dog biscuits. With 96 hungry mouths to feed every day, Jona's food bills are sky high.
Yeah, it's about 50,000 euros per year.
So last year when the pandemic hit and the world began to close its borders, you know, no more tours, no more safaris, and you still had all these huskies to feed, what was going through your mind?
First, when the borders went closed, I was like a little bit feeling, for a few moments, depressed. What will happen now? How we can take care of the dogs?
On the day after Finland's lockdown was announced, Jona went for a cold water swim, a popular Finnish pastime, and it was here where inspiration struck.
I get up from there and I find that we will start taking godmothers and godfathers for the dogs. Husky parents.
Husky parents.
Yeah.
Love it.
Jona spread the news of her Adopt a Husky scheme on social media and through the Finnish press. Soon potential godparents came forward from all across Finland and as far afield as Norway, Germany, the Netherlands and Hong Kong to start sponsoring the Huskies.
For the Huskies, we have their own account, bank account, and the monies from the godparents go to that account. I'm very, very strict that when we take money out of that bank account, like buying food for the dogs, doing this, if we need to go to meet the vet, if we need to have some payment for the vet or something, so it goes only if we need it for Huskies.
Jona knew her plan had to work, as if it didn't, the consequences would have been dire.
That's something I don't even want to think about, because when the lockdown started, there were people talking about if there is no people coming, if you don't have enough money to give food for the dogs, take proper care of the dogs, maybe you have to put them down. And that wasn't an option for me, no, and not at any time. It was like totally, don't even think about it.
It's been well over a year since the adoption scheme started, and with godparents donating anything from €3 to €360, Jona has covered her costs. All her Huskies are happy and healthy, ready to do their job that they love so much.
So did you realise you were the first in the season to go out with the Huskies on the sled today?
No.
You didn't know it?
It was good to hear that the dogs were even more excited than us. So.
The future looks bright, but uncertain. And if borders do end up shutting again and the farm can't take visitors, at least the Huskies have their godparents. A family who would never see them go hungry.
If you're feeling inspired to wrap up warm and explore a winter wonderland this year, here are some of the things you should look out for. Santa Claus has officially declared the Christmas season open. He lives at his official hometown of Rovaniemi in Lapland, which is open all year round. It's worth popping into the post office, where the elves there have received more than 18 million letters from children all around the world. For some spectacular scenery while skiing, head to Iso-Suotta, Finland's southernmost fell located between Lapland and Lakeland. The ski resort there is surrounded by a national park, which happens to get the biggest snowfall in the country, with up to 2 metres falling annually. The frost-covered old spruce forest is also perfect for hiking if skiing isn't your thing. Meanwhile, for the more daring, mountain biking through the snowy tundras in Ulas and Rovaniemi. And And as the daylight hours are very short in December and January, you may just catch the northern lights during your biking adventure. Just remember to take a head torch with you. Organise to stay in a bike hotel which offers customised services for cyclists, including special tours and a variety of rentals. Still to come on the Travel Show. We'll be in Glasgow taking on a challenge from a local chef.
I try not to cook anything that's farmed. If I've got meat in the menu, it's always something that's wild. It has to be the highest quality, freshest, otherwise it just doesn't work.
Wow, look at this! And I'll learn the secret to a long and healthy life here in Sardinia. Thank you.
Qualche giorno un bicchiere in più se lo beviamo.
I can drink to that. So don't go away. Next up, we're in Glasgow, the Scottish city that recently played host to the latest UN climate change conference. So what better place to take up a sustainability food challenge? Let's join Kate Hardy-Buckley as she visits a local chef to help create a truly Scottish dish using only the food she can find in the wild.
I'm back in Glasgow, a city I first fell in love with as a student here in Scotland. And while I know the city best for its buzzing nightlife, I'm now here to explore its authentic and growing food scene. I've come to meet Rosie Healy, one of Glasgow's innovative chefs who's on an ambitious mission to serve mostly wild meat and locally foraged vegetables.
I worked in London as a chef and then I got an opportunity to open my own restaurant in Glasgow. I try not to cook anything that's farmed, so if I've got meat in the menu, it's always something that's wild, like pigeon or venison. It has to be the highest quality, freshest, otherwise it just doesn't work.
Rosie has lined up some adventurous places for me to collect our ingredients for our dish.
So you're going to go and get some wild venison from an estate in Inverary, and you're going to go and meet Andrew, and he's going to give you a basket of lovely things to take away.
A basket of lovely things sounds fun. Andrew Wilson is taking me foraging for mushrooms in the forest.
So there's one there.
Looks like a butterfly.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Edible?
No.
Not edible.
No.
With Andrew's trained eye, we forage on. So we have an edible one.
It's called an Amanita fulva, which isn't a very catchy name, but it's kind of a bit like oyster mushroom. It's got kind of lots of umami, and it's quite delicate flavour.
Great. So we've got one mushroom for Rosie after our trek through the woods. We soon stumble upon a whole troop of fungi for me to collect. It's a baby one there. A micro mushroom. It's really, really therapeutic being out here and foraging and getting your fingers dirty in the soil. Very relaxing. Next up, I'm heading to nearby Ayrshire for some local seasoning. Gregory Marshall co-founded Blackthorn Salt and built this graduation tower to harvest salt from seawater.
We're standing on top of a thorn tower, which is ultimately using the elements that we have here to evaporate water so that we can make salt.
Gregory runs seawater down through the blackthorn branches with their high surface area, so he can later extract his delicious salt flakes from the concentrated water. That's pure sea salt then?
Certainly is, yeah.
Wow.
We're using the wind, we're using the sun, and by doing that, we're not using any energy. So it's trying to make sure that we are doing as much as we can.
My last ingredient challenge is taking me back into the wild, up to the Scottish Highlands. Yeah, yeah, I can see 2, 4, 5 of them.
That's it.
They're such peaceful looking creatures. Wow.
I've never seen any of them earlier.
Magnificent. Tom Kersop shares his passion of the West Highlands with travellers. Part of his job is working to conserve the environment for future generations. So Tom, tell me about what you do then.
So I'm a deer stalker in Argyll Estates in Inverary, and I look after the deer numbers in Inverary. I keep them in a balance here, as you have to, because they don't have any predators.
And what were the predators before?
There would have been wolves and bears, lynx. But of course, we've interfered with that and we've taken them out of the equation. So it's just us now.
And what do you say then to people who would think, oh, deer stalking's cruel, it's inhumane?
If you were to leave them and let them go out of control, although you look about just now and the place is beautiful and green and lush and plenty of grass, that isn't the case throughout the year. If you have an unhealthy, unbalanced number of deer, there isn't enough food for them. So they then start starving, they then get disease, which is not good for the herd, it's not good for the animals. So we have to play our part and keep the numbers down. It's as simple as that.
It's time to cook with Rosie.
I'll fry the venison and then I'm going to cook the mushrooms and the blanched caballero and some of these runner beans with some garlic and parsley and butter.
You don't wash your mushrooms ever,
I don't wash them, I do brush them. I'll get you a wee brush.
I'm really intrigued by your interest to focus on wild ingredients.
So it's just really important that I know that it is good and ethical and good for the environment.
We've just had a spontaneous splash of sherry added to the dish. That smells divine. Our venison with forest vegetables. Oh my God. Very rich flavors, but not overpowering. Taste of Scotland, genuinely. Proud of yourself?
Very.
Welcome back to Sardinia. Now, this island has been designated a blue zone, which means the people living around here have longer and healthier lives than almost anyone else on the planet. It's one of just 5 blue zones dotted around the world. And if you live here in Sardinia, you are 10 times more likely to live beyond 100 years than if you lived in the United States. And here in this quiet, unassuming town of Teolada, they have a higher number of centenarians than anywhere else in Sardinia. And I'm hoping to find out what's the secret. Buongiorno!
Good morning!
Salvatore and Krista, good to meet you. So you're 94. I mean, in these parts, you're practically a spring chicken, no?
Grazie del complimento. In questo paese ci sono anche molti più vecchi. Ah, sicuramente, c'è la vicina di casa, è nata nel 1915.
So, what is your secret?
Si viveva perché, forse, si mangiava poco. Non si mangiava troppo grasso perché faceva male al fegato. E tutti avevano qualcosa. Chi aveva formaggio non aveva legumi. Chi aveva l'olio non aveva l'altro. Però nessuno rimaneva senza mangiare perché c'era lo scambio.
Would you show me how to prepare your soup?
Preparo per il minestrone. Se vuole farlo lei.
Oh, certainly. So
tagli un po' di queste e poi le bietole.
Okay. And these are good locally grown vegetables.
If you come frequently in Sardinia, you will be a Sardinian girl.
Ah, that would be a great thing, and then I might live to 105.
Grazie dell'aiuto.
You're welcome. Does it have longer to cook?
Per preparare, cuocere e poi mangiare almeno un'ora.
Okay, can we come back and taste your soup?
Un'ora. Va bene, poi io preparo.
Fantastic.
Se non trovate preparato è perché sono anziana. Preparate voi.
I will most happily set the table for you. With the soup on the stove, Salvatore and I head to the hills to find out more about the way of life here. Wow, look at this!
Buongiorno, signor Cabra. Buongiorno a voi, signor Lui.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, signor.
Oh, for me, thank you. Grazie.
Buffa con saluti.
Thank you.
Mi è piaciuta fare questa vita.
We've been speaking with people about the secret to a long and healthy life, and they seem to think it's a simple kind of lifestyle, which you have here. Do you think that is the secret to long life?
Ma lo dicono, ma ci sono delle persone che dicono, ma che cosa me ne frega, io ci sono oggi in questo mondo e domani non ci sono. Ma non si deve fare quello ragionamento, si deve pensare, se possiamo vivere un giorno in più per una soddisfazione per personale interna, no? Per fare il conto per le altre persone.
Oh, may I?
Prendilo così.
Now we need to find your mummy to get you some milk, kiddo. So good health and maybe a little vino as well.
Qualche giorno un bicchiere in più se lo beviamo.
I can drink to that. There we go. There you go, Mum. Go on, there you go. Yes. Found Mum.
Non è troppo facile.
All this and you live a long life.
Salvatore has spent the last couple of years creating a historical record, showing why this area should be properly recognised.
È molto importante che Teulada diventi Blue Zone perché Teulada ha un numero di centenari che provengono dalle classi contadine e pastorali, un centenario ogni 300 abitanti è una quota molto alta. Quella dei caprai, i caprai sono il 30% dei centenari, che è una quota altissima.
Now that you've spoken with all of these older people, you have all of their secrets, you should be expecting a good long life, right?
The secret is very simple. Non litigare, non arrabbiarsi, sapere perdonare, sapere scusare, dimenticare, gettarsi tutto alle spalle, perdonare, andare avanti.
And having found the secret for long life here, it was time to try it for myself.
Thank you. That's a serious piece of bread.
È una studiata come lingua ladina da noi.
È buono?
How do I say? Very good.
La zuppa è ottima.
La zuppa è ottima.
Salute.
Well, turns out the secret to a long and healthy life, chickpeas. Who knew? Oh, that's all we've got time for on this week's programme. But coming up next week... I've just checked in and I've just seen the Melbourne. It's fine.
It's a big one for me because after almost 2 years of travel restrictions, I'm finally able to head back home to see family and friends in Australia.
I hope you can join us for that. And in the meantime, don't forget you can check us out on social media. But for now, from me and the rest of the very well-fed travel show team here in Sardinia, it's goodbye.